All right, guys, we have Chip on the line today. He's the director of sales for Verusen. They are growing like crazy right now. Super lucky to have him on. Chip, I'd love just to start with a little bit about your journey and your career path, because I know you've been in sales for a long time, especially in the tech space. So if you could just kind of tell us how you got started and what's going on with you now.
Yeah, sure thing. And first off, thanks for having me, Todd. I really appreciate you having me on today. To your point, kind of how I got into sales a little bit. It's funny you mentioned that. So I started my career actually in I started as a business development rep, and I really wanted to get into marketing operations and actually managing tech stacks for organizations. Marketing was originally going to be my pathway into my full career path. And as I got into that, I was actually offered a promotion into the sales operations world and taking on as a marketing operations manager, which I loved, right? And that's kind of where my passion was originally. And my CEO at the company that I was at the time approached me and said, hey, congratulations on the promotion and all, but why have you never considered sales? You're doing great as a business development rep, and I think you have something there. And first, in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't even know if I'd be good with sales. I've never really considered it. Some people have told me that, sales guys are slimy. You're not one of those guys, and I had never considered it. And I was straightforward, and I told him that. And he said, we have an opening on the sales team. I would be behooved if you would at least interview for the position. And so I took him up on it. Actually talked to a couple mentors in my past about kind of where I wanted to be and kind of my general expertise and my skills. And they said, yeah, you should absolutely go for the sales job. So I interviewed and I took the sales job. And frankly, when I stepped foot day one in that sales job, I had no idea what I was doing. Not a single clue. Luckily, I had the right mentors around me. I had the right passion for it. And it was a very natural fit very quickly. And ever since then, sales has just been my focus, my passion in my career. And I think it was absolutely the right choice to get into it at the time. So now I'm the director of sales over here at Verusen. As you mentioned before, we're growing very rapidly, building out a very large team. And it's an exciting time to be here. And that's kind of how I start.
Yeah. And let me ask you who, mentors are really important. So do you have a mentor right now? Just curious.
I would say I have two mentors currently at Verusen. One is Jeff Wilson, our Chief Revenue Officer, and the other is our founder and CEO, Paul Noble. Those two guys I talk with almost daily at this point, not only just from a sales perspective, from a life perspective too. Those guys are fantastic. And then I have some other ones outside of just being with Verusen that I do speak to fairly regularly.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Just because I'm curious, what are you most excited about what you're doing right now? I mean, you transitioned to director of sales at Verusen. How long have you been there now?
I've been there about 5 months now, I'd say.
Okay.
So still fairly early with Verusen. The thing that really attracted me to Verusen was I've always been very interested in the startup software space and really working with small teams and building out a good culture. And that really is what drove my interest to Verusen. But also on top of that, the really groundbreaking technology we're putting together and in place, especially in a very tough time like COVID. That's where really our technology kind of got its footprint was, helping out organizations go through some really, really tough times over the last few months when a lot of problems around supply chain were exposed because of the pandemic. And all of that combined really interested me to Verusen. It kind of got me there and really drove.
Because you made that switch kind of mid-COVID, right?
Yes, absolutely. Which, in hindsight was a really scary decision.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's not much you can, not much risk, much more risk you could take from a position like that. I had a lot of people telling me don't do it. And no, I really saw a great opportunity here, and I'm glad that I did it. Because it's been fantastic, and even through the pandemic, we've been growing very rapidly and doing well. So
I've heard, man. So I'm just curious, in the role you're in right now, what are you mainly driving for Verusen? Like, what are you owning and driving for them?
So right now, as of today, I would say it's most everything around sales and business development today. So what we're trying to do is, at least from a ground level perspective, trying to build out a real demand generation engine for our organization to start to drum up more interest around some of the great use cases we've had with specific manufacturers here in the US. But then also building a great business development program centered around that same demand generation engine. So there is some synchronization between the two. And then lastly, as I mentioned, just building out a quality sales team and making sure that we can close business quickly, but also create referenceable customers for us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really what we're focused on today at Home
Yeah,
Test.
and just I'm curious. So what are kind of what are the big goals? I mean, it sounds like the CEO and the CRO are two of your main mentors. So, what have they sketched out for you guys for 2021, 2022? Like, what are the big audacious goals, if you will?
As far as big goals go, at least in the back of my head, is tripling the customer base. That would be huge for us. On top of tripling the sales team, the idea on the back of our heads to triple the sales numbers as well, and our customer base is great as well. Something we take great pride in is that all of our customers today are referenceable for us, and we want to continue to create that culture with our customers within our team. And so that's some of the bigger goals that we're looking at today, at least as far as the sales team goes. But then also being able to build out a team faster than we originally expected, right? We want to make sure that we have humble goals, but goals that we can exceed with the right culture, the right team, and the right fit. So I would say those are probably the biggest goals that we have for this upcoming year.
Yeah, and how big are you guys trying to scale as far as the team size?
So today, the sales team is basically me.
Yep, you're it.
Right, exactly. We want to get to a point of where we have about 3 or 4 account executives, along with 2 to 3 business development or sales development reps, kind of supporting those guys. And to be able to do so and be able to have a group like that would, just really skyrocket our ability to close more business much quicker. In tandem, we're also building out the marketing team. Today, a lot of what we've done previously for marketing has been outsourced, but now as we bring stuff more back in, just kind of on a ground level in-house, we can really start to build a very robust, sophisticated, in tandem sales and marketing organization.
Yeah, that's super important. I mean, most people listening and watching, like, they know that it's really nice to have a good marketing engine behind you when you're out there doing sales. So just, if you could, pull it apart for us a little bit, what do you guys focus on? Is it content? Is it video? Is it drip emails, pay per click? Like, kind of what's the strategy going into 2021 so that people that are watching that are interested are like, oh, cool. Okay. I know, what these guys are putting behind me.
Yeah, everything, right? We're looking for product marketing, we're looking for SEO optimization, we're looking for website content, we're looking for content creation, we're looking for writers of any kind. We're really trying to piece together the right fit in the right place in order to make that happen. And there are lots of talented people, not only in the Atlanta area, but of course across the US that would be fantastic for these positions. But right now, we're centrally focused on demand generation and product marketing today, but we're also getting into content creation just down the road a little bit too.
Yeah, I love it, man. And you said you're trying to triple the size of the customer base. What's that look like for you guys?
So as far as customers today, so right now we're sitting at somewhere between 10 and 15 off the top of my head. So if we're going to get somewhere to, we'll call it the 30 to 35 number, that would be awesome. That's kind of, at least in the back of my head, the big goal for this year.
How long is the sales cycle for that typically for you guys?
It's all dependent on where companies currently are with their initiatives. We could see as anything as small as 1 month to, 8 months, or even some that have been, I know one customer off the top of my head that our CEO alone chased for about 2 years before we got them as a customer. But now today they are one of our most referenceable customers. So it's a matter of once we start getting the analytics in from more of the customers that we do bring in, we'll really start to understand at an analytical level what our sales cycles look like, where the bottlenecks are, and maybe where we can create areas in order to slim down that time frame and create a more concise time frame around our sales cycles.
Yeah.
But if I had to give an average for you today, it would probably be somewhere between 5 and 6 months.
Yeah, right around half a year. That's what I was thinking. So for AEs and BDRs watching this, what would they mainly be doing? Who are they calling on? Kind of how are you guys targeting? Break that apart for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say today it's manufacturers over the 1 billion revenue range that have lots of different plants, lots of different warehouses, manufacturing areas, mills, depending on what the nomenclature of the business is, and really have a large spend in indirect materials today. In the supply chain world, if you're unfamiliar, there's typically three areas of supply chain that are focused on materials. You have your indirect materials, your direct materials, and your finished goods. And our business is centered around the indirect material side today, because in the past, we know there's been a lack of focus from a technology side on helping out organizations on the indirect spend side. Because typically with these Fortune 500 manufacturers, there's less of a focus on the indirect materials, even though there's still a very high spend. Everyone's focused on the finished goods and direct materials side.
Yeah, I love it. And then I know we were talking earlier this week. You guys got your first round of funding, or is it the second round, or what's going on with that?
It's the first major round of funding. We secured our Series A funding
Dude, congrats.
just late last month. So thank you so much for that. We're very excited about it. I know that's going public here pretty soon if it hasn't already. So I apologize to Paul, our CEO. Public information. Yeah, we've just closed that out, and we're very excited, very fortunate to be where we are today. Couldn't be happier with the progress of the company. So yes, we closed out our Series A very recently.
Yeah, and that's just pouring jet fuel on what you guys are doing from a marketing and sales perspective. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, if you could, there's plenty of people watching that, this is right up their alley. So, what are you guys looking for? Kind of when are you looking? Who do you think would be, the right fit for you guys where you would say, hey, come on and apply or reach out to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the AE side, it's definitely people that have experience in SaaS sales of some sort. Supply chain experience would be great also. But mainly, with any position, especially in a startup software company, it's someone who's willing to do a lot of different things at once. We always try to silo ourselves sometimes, unfortunately, to just one position on doing one thing. But in the software startup world, it's obviously being able to be a jack of all trades outside of also being very good at what your original intention was. So someone that can, come in and really be a self-starter, and someone that can not only prove out the experience that they have previously, but someone who's not willing to get their hands dirty a little bit. And that goes too for the SDRs, the BDRs too. But for those guys specifically, it's doing, maybe a couple of years of experience at BDRs, or at least some sort of sales experience, and looking maybe to just change roles, get into a new, faster startup area. And, someone again, who is just willing to prove that, they're willing to do the dirty work a little bit, even though, it's going to be a fast environment. And they're going to have a lot of support and a lot of mentorship from a lot of great people in the company. So
yeah,
we're not going to leave them out to dry by any means. We're definitely going to give them all the support and the help they need from a really, really robust and sharp team.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you guys are in an interesting niche too. Are there a lot of players in the indirect, spend category as far as software goes?
As far as software goes, it's our competitors are what companies would previously do to alleviate these problems. So a lot of what we've seen before is your typical data cleanse, where you hire 7 to 8 analysts to comb through Excel sheets to try to find where these duplicate material records might be, where they might find some savings opportunity in certain areas around different plants or across plants, et cetera. And we've seen a lot of groups do this, and they spend millions of dollars to wrangle data that really isn't even there. So what we're allowing them to do really is, and kind of the way that we have shifted our messaging is, let's take away the traditional idea of what a data cleanse is, right? Let's take all of the data that you might have and actually give you a platform that gives you actionable results, and something that the 7 or 8 analysts that you hired can actually go back and give real results and real recommendations to the people who are on the plant level today. So to answer your question, our competition isn't really software that we're really matching up against at this point. It's more of the mindset that organizations have been in for so many years that we're really trying to compete against at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Just replacing humans with robots, which is always what happens. So we get more work done. I love it, man.
I don't say replacing humans, right? I just want to say
no, I'm just teasing.
It opens up the ability to do more as a human rather than having to spend 80% of your day combing through data or trying to clean it yourself.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's beautiful. The AEs and BDRs are you looking to onboard most of these in Q1 right now, or is this kind of stretched between Q1 and Q2?
Absolutely, Q1 as quickly as possible when we find the right fits.
Okay, people that are watching that have experience AE and BDR, where would you direct them to go to apply?
So they can either apply on our LinkedIn page, so linkedin.com/Verison, that we have all of the job postings listed there, or they can email me directly, and that's chip@verison.com. So Verison is spelled VERSUN. I'm sorry, VERUSEN. Wow, I can't even spell my own company name. Had to think about that for a second. .com. So
yeah, for sure, Chip. Thank you so much, man. So guys, I will drop the link to Verison's open positions below the video. Click, apply, get in touch with Chip. They're doing amazing things. Chip, thank you so much for making time to come on and just share about what you guys are building.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you, Todd, so much. I've really appreciated the time, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks, Chip.